Well, welcome, Jared. Thanks for joining me for a quick podcast conversation. We typically call it the Gathering Gurus. If ever there was a Gathering Guru, I would say you fit right in there with us. So I appreciate
Yeah, I've always wanted to be a guru. So this is, finally got my shot. Don't take it away from me, Brian.
That's right. Well, definitely excited to talk with you. It's been, 20 plus years. I think you and I have probably been working together on
these. Yeah, it's been longer than I'd care to mention.
Right. On this little thing that we like to call corporate team building. How do we build that team? How do we break away from the boring old connections that people are doing at corporate events and really get those attendees to share a common experience? Like I like to say, when you share an emotion, when you share an experience, that's where the connection happens. And no better way than with corporate team building for sure. And over the years, man, you have helped us create some incredible interactions, some incredible experiences. So looking forward to picking your brain even more, seeing what's been happening lately, how we're going to do going into 2026. What are the top, fresh, hot ideas that people can pull together? And so, yeah, what's been happening, man? How you been?
Hey, I love it. I've been great, man. I've been great. Every year is a little bit busier than the year before, which I think is all you can ask for in the event business, and I've always been a fan of measured growth anyway. I think that's sort of the key to sustainability for any entrepreneur is, just get a little better every year, book a little more business every year, add some new team members that you get them in the right place and everything just becomes easier to execute and better. So, but yeah, things are great. And it's one of the most interesting things, I think, from a team building perspective, because prior to team building, my dad was in leadership training. My uncle owned a ropes course. I used to run, more traditional classic leadership training. And I think what's fun about corporate team building is people have really, over the last 10 to 15 years, allowed team building to live in its own space, separate from leadership training. Because for me, those are two very different things with two very different outcomes. And I think by just talking about team building, which sadly is a nice vague term that makes it difficult to attach an ROI to. However, by just talking about getting your groups together and having some fun, it allows events to start off anywhere you want. Then you can almost always rein it into however many attendees you have, how much time do we have, how much space do we have. But it's really nice that people are really thinking sky's the limit. And now how can we do this?
Right. That's incredible. I agree with you. Yeah. The idea that this somehow needs to be limited to even when the event happens. So I think one of the most amazing things that we've been able to do with you is not only have this sort of be this single moment in time. And we talk about that a lot in events, the idea that the event needs to live outside of that start and finish day, right? Those connections that we're looking to make, the experience that we're looking to have needs to mean something. You mentioned ROI. Yeah, what is that ROI? Well, meaning outside of the event. When we have the event, if it's just over, then what have we really accomplished, right? And so we've seen you be able to help us bring team building into that. One of my favorite ones was the home game and the away game, and this idea that we introduced the concept to the entire team prior to the event happening to kind of build that excitement, build those connections early on, at least kind of prime that expectation that people had. And then by the time they showed up on site, they're ready to go.
Man, they were ready to go. And the away team couldn't wait to school the home management team.
That's right. No, incredible stuff. Yeah, so many amazing opportunities there.
Well, let me ask you this, Brian. I am curious to know from your end, you and I have both been in the business long enough that we've seen some really great stuff and we've seen some really rough stuff. So, is there something that's really cringeworthy that you would like to see corporate leaders abandon?
I think that's actually a good point. We talk about all the great things that we've seen. And I think a lot of that just comes down to intent, comes down to strategy, right? The idea of the why. Why are we doing this, right? People need to understand if I just give you a bunch of popsicle sticks and say, hey, build the tallest tower you can with these 10 other people, well, only 2 people can sort of work on that at a time. And why am I really building a popsicle stick tower? What does this have to do with what we're talking about here? Is that really team building? I mean, what are we doing, right?
Right. Or is it just showing us what we already know and that you're going to come in and build this tower for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. If we don't sort of communicate the purpose, and this is what we're talking about even, in 2025 and 2026, this idea that attendees are more sophisticated than ever. They know what they want. They're taking time away from their jobs, away from their families, away from their homes. They're trusting us with their time to attend these events. We have to be intentional about the things that we're doing with those people. And yeah, creating a meaningful experience, creating a fun group activity, a team building event, 100%. They want to do that, but not when we make it something that ultimately is just a waste of their time and not a fun experience.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that what you and I both found as you have planned the entire conference and then, works to fit in, our team building aspect, is to make sure that whatever that event is in itself is well-rounded enough that all of the attendees are going to enjoy it, similar to how when you all are creating the conference, when you're creating the theme, when you're choosing the speakers, you are creating something that's extremely well-rounded, but also still on point for what your client is asking you to do. And then that's the secret sauce, is then figuring out, if we are going to take the time to get everybody together to do something, then let's make sure it's well-rounded and within the grand scope of things. Because then, just like you said, it makes sense. We don't even have to tell them the why. It's a seamless puzzle piece that just kind of fits in.
That's right. It fits. But it's so important that we're able to communicate how to do that. Sort of the stigma, let's even call it, around team building for the people that have experienced that meaningless popsicle stick tower building. We say team building, their brain goes to that, and now they say to you, hey, I don't want to do this. This is cheesy. This is a waste of people's time. How do we bring those people that have sort of been scarred by those types of interaction? This is actually a meaningful and maybe one of the most valuable things that you can do at your conference.
So one of the things that I train our MCs and our team facilitators on, I tell them every time that we're about to go do an event, I say, you are competing against the last bad team building session that these folks might have had. And, when we go in there, our job is within the first 60 seconds to make sure that the guests at this conference understand that they're in good hands and they can trust us, because we're not going to single anybody out and make them do something embarrassing. We're going to make sure they hear us talk about working together as a team from the get-go, so that they know this is all good, man. We are all in this together, and we're all going to have a great time doing this, and you can lean on your teammates. And again, because it's a well-rounded design for whatever that event is going to be, everybody relaxes. Like, Brian, I've been on stage and I've sort of said that to people, and you can just see them visibly relax and buy in. And I think, I tell some of my new MCs, I'm like, hey, if you're not quite sure how to get that idea across, all you got to do is go out, introduce yourself, and then say, hey, I'm Jared. I'm from a little town called Conway, Arkansas. And hey, I promise you, no group skis or trust falls today, ladies and gentlemen. But let me tell you what we are going to do. So we get, and I know you get this as well, but anytime people call for team building, they're like, hey, my team hates cheesy. I always have to ask a few more questions, because everybody's definition of cheese is different. And I have high threshold for cheese, Brian. So, I have to make sure that I really understand what the client wants. And most of the time, by asking them what their definition of cheesiness is, or what's cringeworthy in their mind, they're going to reference something that has either happened in the past at an event or something that they saw at an event that they attended, and they will let you know a feeling and a sense that they want to avoid. It's
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like, we don't want a cheesy host. I get that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm talking to them, they still want a host that is going to be exciting. They still want one that's, is sincere and enthusiastic. And actual conversation I had with someone one time, they said, well, you got to understand, Jared, that, a couple years ago, we had an MC that when it was time for people to, come back after the coffee break, they put on a rainbow wig and a red nose, and they honked a clown horn to let everybody know. And I said, well, if that's the bar, that we're going to be okay.
That's right.
But again, it depends. Everybody's definition is a little different. Most people, when they say that, they don't just have an idea of what they don't want, but if you'll give them the opportunity to tell you, they're going to really start laying out what their vision is. That's how I avoid the cheese factor. Because I'm a pretty cheesy guy, as you know, when we're goofing off, in the green room. But when it's event time, man, we're all good.
Right. Now, couldn't agree with you more. I think goes back to what we started the conversation with, right? As long as it's a connection, if that was a clown convention, the rainbow wig and the red nose,
dude, then it's perfect. But these are like high-powered C-suite executives coming in from the coffee break. All they wanted to do was leave and go home.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's all about the fit.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm on the team building side. We're that vendor that really nobody sees, and until it's time to time for the magic to happen. But
right.
when you're there working on a broader event strategy, where do you try to suggest, or where do you think that team building fits in best if we're doing a multi-day conference or a sales kickoff?
In an ideal world, and doesn't work all the time, I like to see team building really woven throughout, right? Like we've said, from before this event even happens, and maybe team building is not even the right term for it at that point.
Employee engagement is kind of our current buzzword, even though everybody's using it. It means something a little different in the team building world. But go ahead.
Absolutely. So the ability, to get people engaged, get people excited prior to even showing up. This idea that, hey, we're getting together for a purpose. We're very specific. There's specific reasons why we're doing this. And we're doing this to go beyond what we can do on the screen. It's been a few months since we've seen each other in person, and this has been a great interaction, of course. But the minute we get together, it's hugs. We're excited to see each other. That energy goes through the roof. But the idea that, I can now do that for 500 or 1,000 or whatever, that many number of people, that's what needs to happen. We need to be able to let these people know that being together in person is actually going to be meaningful. And some people can walk into a room and be able to connect, right? Not everybody does that, right? And we need to be the people that help facilitate those interactions, those experiences. And a very long answer to your question, but that's where I think this idea of team building, employee engagement fits in. What do we do for a multi-day conference? Well, actually, what we do is we don't say it's just this 1 hour that we expect you to start interacting with one another. No. We've designed this throughout. We're giving you the opportunity to be engaged, to be connected prior to the event, when you get to the event, and then after the event as well. And so absolutely, it is a must-have. In fact, if we're not doing these things, why are we even doing the event? Let's just do a Zoom call. Let's just do the team thing.
Well, I think it's a must-have. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a challenge, right? That's a lot for especially a planner to take on. We're seeing it already. There are tight, if not reduced budgets. There's limited resources within an organization. And a lot of folks are still under that, hey, man, I've got this checklist. I got to get these things checked off. What you're asking me to do is a whole nother side of things that I'm not even convinced I can get done here. And I'll go back to it. How do we do that? Team building. It's right there in the term, team building. Those planners got to build a team around them too, right? They need to have Jared Young and GoGather and Go Team. That's how you do it. You build a team amongst you to help you in these things. And so often we see those planners, they're martyrs practically, right? They're in like, I'm in it, I'm going to do it. They dedicate their lives to it and their health and their physical well-being.
2 hours a night at each night of the conference.
Yeah. And it's like, boy, no, that you want them to have an amazing experience. You need to have an amazing experience as well. That's where people can feel successful, feel engaged. I think what you do and what your team has done and what we've been able to partner to do on is really help people put that purpose behind the event, right? Is it the corporate social responsibility? Is there community? Is it sustainability? There's all of these sort of buzzwords that we have. Those are the things that resonate, right? That's what I've seen. Why do you think that is?
Speaking to the CSR events, the corporate social responsibility, I have so many thoughts on CSR events because they're my personal favorite, and my thoughts are sort of organized from the corporate perspective down to the attendee perspective. And I think what sort of changed the game was when Glassdoor got very popular as a resource for executives and employees looking to look for a new job, or if they're in the job market, if they're good at what they do, man, they've got 3, 4, 5 different offers from different companies. And whenever Glassdoor came around, all of a sudden it was just like reading a restaurant review for where they should go eat that night. Now they're looking to see, which of these companies aligns with my personal values. And if I'm going to bring my skills and my talents to this company and help them succeed and ultimately help them make a lot of money, where can I line up so that I'm able to feel really good about that? From a corporate conference level, why you should do community-driven events is you're going to align with so many of your employees' personal goals and values. From a guest perspective, part of the reason I love CSR events is people just hop on board, because when you give someone an opportunity to help somebody out, especially in the local community where they're hosting this conference, maybe they've never been to Kansas City, maybe they've never been to Chicago, New York, Miami, wherever, and we're able to introduce a charity that needs a little help, or part of the community that doesn't have the opportunities that some of the other members in the community have. And this company has chosen to set aside a couple of hours so that each of their employees can truly give back in a meaningful way. You don't even have to worry about buy-in, because it's 100%. Because just like you're saying, the why is there. Why are we doing this? Because we're a company that believes we should leave every community we interact with better than when we arrive. A lot of the stuff that we've done, and that are some classic corporate go-tos, whether we're putting together back-to-school backpacks, whether we're doing canned food events that are going to help out a local food bank. And then the other CSR events that we've had some really great success with lately are more environmental themed events. For instance, we started doing a Build a Beehive event a couple of years ago, and we weren't quite sure how it was going to go. And turns out everybody loves the bees, and everybody has kind of heard that the bees are in a little bit of trouble and not doing as well as they can. But the most interesting thing about the Build a Beehive event is it's a really unique CSR, because we put hammers and nails into people's hands. And I was struck by the first couple of times that we did these beehive events, that people would start taking selfies or having their teammates take pictures of them using a hammer. And every time we do this, someone says, I just have to send this, to my husband or to my wife or to my partner, because they've never seen me use a hammer before. And I thought that was great. That was amazing. The short answer for why CSR events are so great at conferences is it gives employees and guests and other conference attendees a direct line to your company values and who you are as a company culture. It's a culture definer, Brian.
A definer, and like we said in the beginning, these are sophisticated attendees. You can put it out there on the website all you want that, hey, we care, we support, we can even write checks, but that's sort of meaningless, you know?
And in terms of the integration that we were talking about earlier, we did one for a group of engineers. They were on site for a couple of days, and the charity that we worked with was an awesome charity called Girls Who Code, whose whole mission is to get more girls into programming and coding. And this group did a CSR benefit. We played games. After each game, they'd earn a different part of their computer. And these guys assembled whole computers to send to the Girls Who Code Girls Who Code's office in that city. So it was great. But in terms of alignment, that's really like, you know, from a conference planner perspective, you guys were like, hey, we know who you are. This is what you do. And you've got a whole bunch of engineers and programmers. So we're going to make sure you've got a team building that really speaks to that. And not only that, helps out a group that is underrepresented in programming. And we're not just going to talk about it. I think this is the important thing. We're not just going to talk about how we should get more girls into coding and engineering. We're going to build some computers for a group in town that if we give them 20 extra computers, that's 20 extra girls 3 times a week practicing their programming. And that's the thing. If you can get CSR events where that local impact, the guests, even though the guests are leaving, what they're leaving behind is something that is actually going to benefit that community. And that's an amazing feeling from a team building organizer. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do that one, because I'm going to feel great, you know, leaving Miami because we helped out these folks.
Right. And it fits so well into even what you talked about earlier, this ROI. So often we think about ROI in the sense of what does this event do for the company, right? What does it do for maybe our bottom line, our profitability, our sales? But we kind of forget, what's the ROI for the attendee? What have we done for the person that's taken the time to come attend this event? And something like that is huge for those people, right? They get to go back, share that story with their family, feel good about that. It's something that makes them better as a person. So that's immeasurable ROI, right?
And the company sponsoring the conference, they gave them that opportunity. And it's incredible having that opportunity to really know where your energy and where this corporate gift that your company has put together, where it's going. There's almost nothing like that feeling. And I think that's also what you're talking about, how team building and the engagement with the conference and the engagement with their fellow employees lasts a lot longer than just the conference, because they take that feeling away. And one thing that we were doing a homeless veterans give back very near to Veterans Day. And I had read a couple of days before we did this event, I had read a study that scientists have finally figured out how to achieve true happiness. And I mean, this was one of those lengthy studies, years and years and years. And they said people's brains show the most, you know, quote, happiness markers when they are doing something good for somebody else. So I just started telling people like, hey, we're not just helping out our local community. You're about to get yourself some happiness. And science backed me up, Brian. That's go.
That's right. That's official.
Citations if needed.
That's right. We've been validated finally.
That's right. All right, Brian, here's one for you. Let's say a company has 1 hour, 1 space, and 100 people. What's your go-to team building format that actually works and doesn't, take 40 minutes to organize and there's only 20 minutes doing it, or doesn't make people, check out?
Right. Ah, that's great. I feel like you've already set me up for this. I think the CSR with the game component, like you said, and that's something that's so unique. I think people are used to seeing this idea that we're going to pack care packages or we're going to build computers, that sort of stuff. But and there can absolutely be tie-in, of course, to the company's mission. But there's a couple of things I'll go back to that you've already mentioned. The idea that you have, number one, a organized and sort of professional host and MC, right? If we're gonna get this done in an hour in one space with 100 people, we need to have a plan. We need to have somebody that knows what they're doing, that has done this before, that is having fun, can motivate the people, can keep them organized, on task, moving through. Beyond that, having a team there. One of the things that I love that you do is you bring the refs in, right? The folks in the black and white stripes, right? I know who to look to, right? If I only got an hour, there's a lot of things happening. Now I've got this team of folks that's kind of moving through that room. So we're bringing that energy up, but we're also not leaving anybody in the dark. They can recognize, well, why are these 3 or 4 people kind of sitting out over here, not participating, right? Your team is so good at realizing that's happening and sort of adjusting on the fly. So any number of actual activities that you can do in that 1 hour, that one space with those 100 people. The question then becomes, now, how do we organize that in a meaningful and impactful way? And that's really what it's about. Bring in the pros for sure.
Yeah. And, you mentioned gamification, and I'll talk for a sec, if you don't mind, about gamification, because it really is what sets aside, again, team building from traditional leadership training, right? Or at least the way that we do it. When planners are good to gamify, sometimes even the entire conference, and not just in a traditional way, not just in a, check off these 10 things that you did on the app and you get a raffle ticket, but making it much more organized. And for when we do team building events, I've never seen anything get people engaged better than gamification, because I don't care who you are on the competitive scale. Some of you are extremely competitive, but even when people say, no, I'm not really that competitive, they're still on the scale, because as soon as you start playing a game, something kicks in, especially, I'd say 95% of our events are team related. So now you're on a team and you're all competing together, man, something kicks in from the least competitive person to the most competitive person, that you are ready to help your team. And for some reason, I can't wait to beat the table beside me. Even though I love them, I can't wait to show them how good our team is. And then when you tie gamification to a CSR, where we're going to play this game, and after this game, everybody's going to earn their first piece of their give back. We're really rolling. So like you said, it doesn't matter whether it's a game show format, whether it's a minute to win it type format.
I think the key there, and what your team and we've been able to partner and do so often is also, when we've already mentioned it, recognizing that different folks bring different talents. They bring different skills and just even different personas. What excites one person may sort of be scary or boring to another. And in the design, in the work that you and your team have done in building these games, recognizing that feats of strength, that's for me, right? Get in there, let's do some push-ups. But creating a design or a beautiful drawing or that sort of thing, maybe not so much. And so if you can build and design a game that sort of appeals to all of those different personas, all of those different personalities, now I feel like, yeah, I can contribute. I'm not a popsicle stick building guy, but man, if you need me to answer a trivia question or do some calculations over here, I can do it. Or you need me to get that cookie from my forehead into my mouth.
Yeah, baby.
I've been practicing that for 50 years. I can do that for sure in my sleep. So that's the idea. And that's where I think you have the opportunity again to make people actually feel excited, right? That's kind of the whole point of this entire conversation. What are the trends that you're seeing? What are the tactics that you're taking, like the one I just mentioned, to get people excited?
Where we've leaned on gamification a lot are those events that maybe don't have as much time, or maybe we need people to achieve a goal within a certain amount of time. Like if we've got 10 things that need to go in this care package, then we've got 10 games we need to get through. Gamification is an easy way to get people from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only tool in the toolbox. And I think from a trend perspective, there are a lot of events that are moving towards including creativity and storytelling. And when you start talking about it, it becomes real obvious, because every time that we pick up our phones and look at something that's, maybe not in our news feed, but if it's on social media, and the people that have the most followers, it's because they're creative and or they're telling a great story. I'll give you an example for it. If you want to do a culinary competition at your team building event, and they're awesome, they're so much fun, everybody has a great time when there's food involved and a little competition. So for instance, we do, based out of Los Angeles, we got people everywhere, but when we do events in LA, a lot of people want to do a salsa and guacamole culinary competition. Nothing wrong with making some salsa and guacamole, right?
That's right.
What we have seen people respond to over the last 18 months or so is when we introduce a storytelling element and a creative element and turn it from a salsa guac competition a little more into full-on restaurant wars, like they're on, like a Bravo food Top Chef type thing, right? Because now you're not just, cutting avocados, chopping up tomatoes. Your team also has to come up with your restaurant brand, your restaurant name, the story behind how you came up with this. And what's so great about that, and again, if you want to talk about really teams bonding over an experience, what's incredible is if you've got 8, 10, 12 teams doing a salsa event, they're each coming up with a story. What's shocking are a couple of things. Number one, you would have never thought there were 12 different puns that people could make about salsa and guacamole. And yet every team designs a restaurant or a label that has something really unique and fun that nobody else had thought of. So again, it's that ability to allow adults to be as creative and playful as they want. So from a trends perspective, I think figuring out ways, no matter what the event might be, because everybody wants an experiential event now. I mean, that's the overriding trend. But the reason people talk about experiential events is because that makes for an easy story later. I get that, no problem. Right. But I think even on events, and salsa guac, that's an experience, man. Some of these are good and some of them are bad. However, if we can introduce this creativity and storytelling aspect to all of our events, I think we're going to continue to get that super high degree of engagement that we're used to. And I think what's so important is to make sure that whatever event you're hosting is that you create that environment where it's safe enough for people that want to be a little more vulnerable. And again, this is to the people they work with, and that is difficult. And I think one of the most important things that I tell clients early on is, hey, we're not going to put the spotlight on anybody and force them to do anything they don't want to do. We're not going to embarrass anybody. But what we are going to do is we are going to do our best to create an environment where everybody feels safe. And so if you can have this well-rounded event where everybody has bought in, and they're all bought in, but some people are going to buy in a little more on an emotional level. That is team bonding right there, because it's this authentic human experience that we just had. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all going for. And that's why we gather, just like you said at the beginning, is because there's nothing better than seeing each other, high fives, hugs. And then when there's a chance to connect a little deeper, to be able to look each other in the eye. And then you know me better, and
Right.
we're going to work better together. So that's what I'm excited about from a trend perspective, is I think, and I've always maintained that if you give adults the chance to play, they will play. If you give them a chance to be creative, they're going to be creative.
Right.
So we like to say that teams that play together stay together. So.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Well, Jared, this has been fantastic, and I'm gonna end it right there on a high note. That's right. Teams that play together stay together. You know, immersing people in that living, breathing company culture, letting them participate in that and build that's what it's all about. And man, I certainly appreciate the partnership that you and I have had, our companies have had over
Same
20 plus some years. And
yes,
man,
absolutely.
So thanks again for joining me and having a discussion. A lot of valuable stuff in there. How do people get in touch with you?
Yes. So our company is Go Team Events, and you can find us at goteam.events. And, just type us in. We'll be there. We've got a great social media manager that Katie posts stuff all the time. So you'll be able to see kind of what the trends are and what's been going on out there. Or feel free to email me at jared@goteam.events. And I'll take care of you personally because Brian and the folks at GoGather. So yeah, that's a direct line, baby. Let's go.
That's right.
But yeah, thank you, Brian. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all GoGather does here in the industry, just to keep always pushing things forward. And you're one of those people that is always asking, okay, great. Now what else?
Well, I apologize.
So it's great, man. It keeps us all moving forward, and I'm sure it drives your people crazy, but that's all right, man. Keep it up.
That's right. Well, thanks very much, Jared.